It's going to get busy, she says. Vegan bloggers are inspirational until you realize that's all they do. I have a full-time job and it's impossible to think about what to eat every meal every day, says Saxena. What the f did I just read? I don't know about you, but I'm someone who does like to learn. When I saw that the Hindustan Times had just published an article titled 2020 Guide on How to Be a Better Vegan, written by the writer and editor Rachel Lopez, I thought, wow, okay, this sounds pretty good. I'm always interested in learning new stuff and I'm always interested in sharing it with you. Let's take a look at the 2020 Guide on How to Be a Better Vegan. Let's jump right into the article with step 1. First, stop talking about it. Okay, it says, you know the joke. How do you know if someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Don't be that kind of vegan. Try instead of don't ask, don't tell policy. I must be reading the wrong article. That's not how to be a better vegan, right? No, it's the right article. Okay. What the fuck, Rachel? I mean, okay, let's be fair. I guess she just doesn't realize that veganism is not a diet or just eating plants. I guess she doesn't realize that veganism is an ethical stance against animal abuse. And that if vegans don't talk about it, industries will get away with doing this to animals more and more. We have to talk about it. I guess she just hasn't made the connection that these animals need vegans to speak up for them. Maybe she thinks it's a diet. Let's continue anyway. I mean, maybe we can get something good here. So the second point, switch for the right reasons. It's a good start, right? Maybe she's going to tell us the right reasons. And there's a quote by a vegan here. When I decided to cut out meat, dairy, and even honey from my diet in 2010, my friends said, healthy choice is a compliment. There's a widespread misconception that veganism is a wellness movement. It's more of a political, ethical set of decisions. Well, there you go. This person seems to get it right. So what does she say now? She says, the term vegan was coined in 1944 for vegetarians who'd stopped consuming animal-derived products as a response to cruel industrialized farm and dairy practices. Pretty much on the ball so far, hitting the nail on the head with that hammer. It's about minimizing the burden or loss of others' lives in your life. It's not a shortcut to weight loss or muscle gain, Patel says. So this is great, but Rachel, you know that veganism is an ethical stance. Why are you telling people to not talk about veganism? That seems extremely counterproductive. Like, oh hey, I've just learned that I've been brainwashed my entire life, that there are these multi-billion-dollar industries set up to abuse and profit from animals. They've not only brainwashed the public, they've lobbied and got into political positions of power, getting involved in the health recommendations from governments. I've just found all of this out, that it's one big multi-billion-dollar scam, and I'm not going to tell anyone? Like, what kind of advice is that, Rachel? What's going on here? Let's move on to the next part of this guide. It says, admit that vegan food can be unhealthy too. I agree with that. Vegan food is not always healthy, and being a vegan does not mean that you're healthy. You can just eat fries, Pepsi, sweeties and stuff, and you could be very sick. You're not going to be getting all your nutrition from eating that. You can have health problems if that's what this part is saying. I totally agree. There's a quote here, a series of health issues 7 years ago caused her to cut out meat, dairy and gluten. So I assume that this person is now plant-based at least then. But the vegan diet wasn't necessarily healthy. A lot of it's very processed. It's high on soy and tofu, which can interfere with hormones. Oh, for fuck's sake. What is this? This is not a guide on how to be a better vegan. It's a guide on how to be a non-vegan and spread misinformation. Soy and tofu and this whole hormone debacle has been debunked completely. Soy has phytoestrogens. It does not have estrogen. This whole thing was a scare tactic used by the dairy industry and the meat industry to stop people from consuming soy alternatives, to scare them so much that they just continue consuming what they were consuming all along. And frankly, if the author of this had done a bit of research, she's writing an article about how to be a vegan. If she'd have done 5 minutes of research, she would have been able to debunk this point and not include it in an article that's supposed to be encouraging people to be vegan. She goes on to say, with the new mock meats, I don't know what I'm eating, and we don't know their long-term repercussions. Nothing is healthier just because it's vegan. Think of French fries and beer. Very interesting point about the repercussions of mock meats. I wonder what the solution could be if someone's not confident in eating mock meats because of the potential future problems they could have, or that they just don't know how it could affect their health. What could they do? What could they do? Oh yeah, they could just not eat mock meat. Mock meats are not oxygen, and you can be vegan without consuming them. Moving on, check your privilege. Right, okay, well this article just keeps getting better and better, right? Patel tends to stay away from what he calls pulpit vegans. They're mostly showing off that they can afford to be picky. What in the holy fuck are you talking about, Patel? These people who do this, who show off, like rappers who buy 10 supercars, celebrities who buy 10 mansions. No one needs 10 supercars and no one needs 10 mansions. These people are just assholes and they're showing off to the world what they've got. If a vegan is showing off that they can have all the expensive foods and all these things, they're just an asshole that happens to be vegan. And if they weren't vegan, they would be doing it with non-vegan food because, as I said earlier, they're just an asshole. It has nothing to do with veganism. It goes on to say a lot of vegan alternatives Store-bought nut milks, dairy-free cheeses, fish substitutes cost more and have a higher carbon footprint when you factor in packaging and imports. Again, very interesting point about the potential higher cost or the higher carbon footprint of those items. Store-bought nut milks, dairy-free cheese and fish substitutes. It's almost like there's another solution that we maybe came up with a similar solution earlier for a similar problem. What could it be? Oh yeah, don't buy nut milk, dairy-free cheeses and fish substitutes from the shops and instead make your own substitutes at home. It's almost like these items aren't oxygen and you can be vegan without consuming them. We're on a roll today, guys. It's going to get busy, she says. Vegan bloggers are inspirational until you realize that's all they do. I have a full-time job and it's impossible to think about what to eat every meal every day, says Saxena. What the f did I just read? I work full-time, so I can't plan my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Most people I know who work full-time plan their meals all on a Sunday. They plan their week on the Sunday. The Sunday is the day where they do all the prep and everything like that. Because the alternative is paying for animal abuse. They will not do that. The alternative is not an option. Saying working a full-time job makes it impossible to think about what you're eating is ridiculous. I'll tell you what is impossible. It's impossible to be alive when you've had your throat slit. Get some perspective. Your slight inconveniences in preparing your week of meals are nothing in comparison to what these animals go through. It's worse when I'm traveling. In parts of Asia, they just don't understand the concept. So you explain the concept. I spent 12 months in Asia, in Nepal, Thailand, India, and Sri Lanka. Not once did I consume animal products. Not once. Every single one of these countries has restaurants that have rice and vegetables and beans, most of them. You make it work, you explain it. And I don't even speak any of the languages in Asia. I still got by, and I wasn't just going to tourist places, I was going to small towns and small cities too, and I still made it work. You put your mind to it, you stop being lazy, and you do it for the animals. So be an imperfect vegan. Okay, now it makes sense. The author of this article on how to be a vegan in 2020 is not a vegan. The term is getting popular among vegans who've struggled with the all or nothing version of the lifestyle. It allows flexibility and a chance to do better in bits. Oh my god. Veganuary, observed since 2014 as a way to start the year as a vegan. Meat-free Mondays are easier to manage than a week of struggling over every meal. Imagine this same logic, but switch the victim for another victim. Be an imperfect anti-racist. This term is getting popular among anti-racists who've struggled with the all or nothing version of the anti-racist lifestyle. Racism-free Mondays are easier to manage than a week of struggling to respect people of other ethnicities. You don't need me to explain why that is completely ridiculous, right? Veganism is an all or nothing lifestyle because animal abuse is an all or nothing thing. Either you are pro animal abuse and you pay and contribute to animal abuse, or you are against animal abuse and you don't pay for or contribute to animal abuse and are therefore a vegan. That's why it's black and white. That's why it's all or nothing. It really is that simple. Last point is talk to a doctor. Malnourishment is common among vegans. For many, a strict plant-only diet does more harm than good. Please can someone contact this woman and tell her to find another profession. Seriously, if you open your laptop at the beginning of your day as a writer and editor and write about things that you have absolutely no clue about, then you need to find another job. Either way, this point, like most of the other points in this article, is complete bullshit. Malnourishment is not common among vegans. It's common among people who aren't able to get proper nutrition for various reasons. It could be their financial situation. It could be the food availability. It could be the lack of knowledge. It could be the fact that they're just plain lazy and don't want to cook. All of these have absolutely nothing to do with veganism. Saxena's health concerns abated only after a doctor prescribed the occasional fish or egg meal and advised her to give up lentils. Patelno's focus is not on vegan or non-vegan, but on the effort the world and he have to put into a meal. As Saxena puts it, just do what you can without it taking over your life and everyone else's. Hold up, you have to be kidding me right now. This is the 2020 guide on how to be a better vegan, written by a non-vegan with quotes from non-vegans, encouraging you to not be vegan. Whose f***ing idea was this article? Should I make an actual 2020 guide to being a better vegan? Is that something you want to see? Drop a comment right now saying no excuse for animal abuse. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to drop me a like and share this video with anyone you think needs to see it, especially anyone who read this article, and I'll see you in the next video.